This individual asks, how do I let go of my unacceptance of negative beliefs and feeling that negative emotions are bad and that there's something wrong with me? I've heard dark has to exist for light to exist, but still I find myself asking, why do we have to experience suffering? I think my unacceptance of negative beliefs is making it impossible for me to let them go. In one communication, you spoke of the neutral zone. How can we get into that neutral state where it's easier to transform things?
Well, the paradox is, as you say, you have to accept the existence of the negative in order to allow yourself to be in the neutral zone where you have the ability to choose what you prefer without invalidating what you don't prefer. And you're mixing up a lot of definitions in there because you're talking about value judgments and not just a recognition of a mechanism. When we talk about positive and negative, we're not talking about value judgments of good and bad. We're talking about how you're using the energy, how you're using the mechanism. Negative energy, negative beliefs are simply that which make you experience the feelings of disconnection, separation, diminishment, so on and so forth. But this is a mechanism we're talking about. Positive allows you to experience the idea of connection, expansion, engagement. The idea, again, is that we're talking about a mechanism of energy here and how it works. Because remember, you can use negative mechanisms to a positive effect. You're doing that right now by experiencing physical reality. You are a bigger being than what you are as a physical person. So you had to use the negative, so to speak, mechanism of imposing limitations on your consciousness in order to focus yourself into a physical reality. But you're using that negative mechanism in a positive way to have this physical experience. And you are misunderstanding the idea no one needs to suffer. But if that's what's going to help you learn how to transform it, you will accept that experience until you allow yourself to realize it's not about being forced. It's about having chosen to experience something so that you could learn the lessons from it so that you don't have to experience it again. No one says you have to keep experiencing it. The idea, again, is that when you allow yourself to accept that negative energy, negative mechanisms are valuable and can serve in certain ways that ultimately come out with positive results, then you will, in a sense, allow them to exist. Just because you are aware of negative mechanisms doesn't mean you have to choose them. You can be in the neutral place by accepting that everything, positive, negative, neutral, is valid because you can use them in so many different ways in the way that you prefer to aid and assist yourself. So when you allow it to be all right for negativity to exist just as a mechanism, then you can remain in the neutral space because you can choose what you prefer without invalidating what you don't. And at the same time, recognize that you may be using many negative mechanisms to positive effect, and sometimes even using positive mechanisms to negative effect. So it depends on how you use it. Rather than focusing on what it is, focus on the idea of how you choose to use the mechanisms for a positive reason.
See. And this person asked also, how can I let go of the core belief that there's something wrong with me?
The idea is that you may not necessarily always align with the path or the vibration that you prefer. But again, that's part of the learning experience. Some people simply, because of their belief systems, have to get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and then they'll change. So you might be using the mechanism of painting yourself in a corner by thinking that something's wrong with you until you finally get so tired of not being yourself and thinking that something is wrong with you that you finally give it up. So that may or may not be the way that you're doing this. But the idea is, if there really was something wrong in the sense that you didn't belong, that you are wrong for being you, for exploring the things and discovering the things that you're discovering, even if they're not in alignment with who you prefer to be. If there was truly something missing from you, something wrong with you, you wouldn't exist, because creation doesn't make mistakes. So whatever story you're telling yourself, whatever journey you're on, there is nothing wrong with you because you are obviously a creative manifester. You're always manifesting something. You're always confident about something. Even if you're confident that you lack confidence, you're confident about that. So never assume that you lack confidence, that you lack trust, that you're out of control, because even when you feel out of control or when you feel that something is wrong, you're using your rightness and your control to create that experience for your own purposes, for your own reasons. You may not be aware of those belief systems that create those reasons, but that's why we encourage everyone to get in touch with what they are, because you're using your power to make it seem as if something is wrong with you. And if you don't prefer that, you can just as easily stop and realize that there is nothing wrong with you. You're just exploring different experiences of negativity and positivity in your own way. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, remember, ultimately, you're an indestructible spirit. This is a temporary situation. You'll get over it one way or another.